Nicholas Roeg's masterpiece Don't Look Now, first released in 1973, deals with trauma, skepticism, intuition, and grief. It showcases masterful literary adaptation, taking its original concept from the short story of the same name and premise by Daphne du Maurier, but elevating the original text through its well-crafted, slow-burn horror narrative, reminiscent of Alfred Hitchcock's classic techniques. Revealing a tale as much about memory as about trauma, the film is set almost entirely in the autumnal landscapes of Venice, telling the story of a couple whose loss of a child shapes their perception of the world around them and unfolds the consequences of a mysterious encounter with two ladies that put in check the couple's faith in the intuitive and supernatural world. To talk about such harsh reality, throughout the whole film, Nicholas Roeg utilises a couple of classic techniques that help create subtext, the most outstanding one being his use of match cuts. Here, the composition of both shots is matched either by action, subject matter, or composition. This helps create a sense of equivalence that denotes visual metaphors. In Don't Look Now, this technique shines in its overture scene. The daughter Christine plays outside their countryside home while the parents are inside. The little girl wears red, which completely separates her from the green field. We see the house in the distance, and then our eyes are guided to the water and her reflection. An abrupt cut takes the spectator back inside the country home, where match cuts on action help establish an emotional connection between characters. The visual landscape of contrasting symbols and colours presented in this scene will appear over and over again, implying and foreshadowing phenomena and story elements. The same raincoat used by the little girl in this scene will be a connector of all the clues leading to the film's shocking finale, evoking a strong sense of loss throughout the film. Another important element of the film is its transformation of the dazzling city of Venice into a gloomy, damp and maze-like setting. This is also a strong indicator of subtext. Venice is presented in a fragmented way. We see the city from a narrow perspective, through handhelds that indicate a point of view, close-ups of the canal, tight compositions of corner streets that evoke a sense of claustrophobia. The architectural beauty of the city is almost concealed, reserved solely for the beauty of the church interiors, revealing again the questions of faith. Another brilliant achievement of Don't Look Now is the added motif of water and the use of the colour blue. Although not in the original text, this helps cement the source story's original speculations on faith. The blue is present on the psychic's eyes, John's eyes, the blue water reflection of the British pond, and the Venice Canal. And as all the puzzle pieces are put together, the visual trope of the water and reflection spill in the montage of the film through the use of layers and dissolves. This is particularly poignant as we realise that in Don't Look Now, things are never what they seem. As images rise to the surface and reappear in new and outstanding ways, Don't Look Now invites us to ponder on the possibilities and wonders of the cinematic medium itself. The storytelling methods used in Don't Look Now are non-linear. The film transports the audience between past and present moments, using the edit to re-signify scenes as the story unfolds. We see faces through a mirror or a frame, faces covered by visual obtrusions, fragments of a scene that match graphically with memories of the characters. This strong visual scheme creates motifs in the composition, and as the film gains momentum, it allows the audience to piece together the visual clues, watching the plot spiral out of control. Towards the third act of the film, the collage of meaning created by the cinematic techniques used in the film come to play a big role in the storytelling. Here we see the edit take a collage approach, intercutting between images that wouldn't traditionally make sense together, but because we're so deep into the narrative, they just make sense. We know that at this point in the story, John Baxter is alone in Venice, haunted by the grief of his child and by speculations of his wife's safety. Despite being a strong and rational man, we can see his mental deterioration. He's shown seeking the help of characters that represent order amidst the chaos he's experiencing. The clergyman, the police officer, the hotel manager, and at the same time, struggling to communicate with characters that represent intuition, the psychic sisters and his wife. As the character arc unravels and the story reaches its ending, John's prophetic gift condemns him into a terrible fate. Regarding the adaptation made by Nicholas Roeg of her story, Daphne du Maurier wrote that the film added more depth to unconscious thoughts that might have been my own. The collection of fragments presented throughout the film is matched by the death scene montage, unlocking its meaning in both signs and omens. And at that point, the film completely resignifies the red raincoat, the photograph, the canal waters, the church, and the journey that leads to that fatal moment. In the epilogue of Don't Look Now, Laura Baxter stands in the middle of the two sisters as we see the funeral barge of her husband. Her facial expression is enigmatic but tranquil. A crown of red roses is at the forefront of the scene, and we are again invited to look closely at the overall film grammar as we ask ourselves, how do we change the inevitable?